Hey everyone, it's the PSG News Podcast. My name's Benny, that's Dylan, and Shake's working, and Huey is not recovering well from his second COVID shot. So, for the first week of COVID news, whoa, no, we're not doing that show. For the first week of our gaming news variation of our podcast, which should come out on Friday or Saturdays on a weekly basis, depending however fast Dylan is able to get to it, we're going to be discussing some of the news that we are able to track down and find out and let you guys know about a few things. Is it weird that in my head, our theme song that you found was playing in my head when I said the welcome?
I'm glad that I've incepted that into the opening of this show.
Let's go ahead and kick off with something nice and easy to talk about. We are PlayStation and Steam gamers. That is what PSG stands for, though it may be getting a name change very soon. Similar, but we'll see. We'll see. You might just become absolute PSG. I mean, that's just so it ties into our branding. Yeah. But let's talk about the PlayStation Plus games for May. For those who don't know, PlayStation Plus is their play online with your friends service, and they started the trend of giving away free games, which now everyone does, which I love. I love the fact that everyone gives away free games now.
Yeah. Free stuff is great, especially occasionally when they give out like really good games. Like, wasn't last month or something Horizon was just free?
Yeah, but that was like a weird one because that wasn't technically the PlayStation Plus release. That was like a mid-month. They're just like, by the way, Horizon's also free.
There was a bunch of games that came out with like something to do with PS Plus, but no, I don't remember.
No, they were doing the play at home movement again, where they're like, hey, if you're stuck at home because of COVID, here's a bunch of extra games for this month. But now that we're back to May, we're back to the normal free game release. So on May 4th, we're going to get Wreckfest. The PS5 edition. Wreckfest is I think it's just a Destruction Derby game for free.
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Like, this is definitely one of those games that I would probably never buy, but I'll give it a shot for free. I don't know, I'm not super into
They did a Destruction Derby game last month. It was like the new version of Twisted Metal, practically, Destruction All-Stars.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing this trend. There are so few games on PS5, the brand new ones are coming out for free. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, that's like the PS5 launched with Bug Snacks, and I thought I was going to have to pay for it. But then they were like, no, you can just have it. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I won't give them my money.
And March was Destruction All-Stars, and then April was Oddworld Soulstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not. I check at the PS5 store every day. When I get on my PlayStation, the first thing I do is go to the marketplace to see because remember games used to come out on Tuesdays. That's not a thing anymore. So I just go check if anything new hit any of the stores before I go into it, which is how I have so many games I'm trying to work on right now. Probably should just stop looking in the store.
That's fair. You wouldn't. Yeah, you walk into a candy store every day. You're probably gonna end up buying a lot of candy.
Yeah, you guys are always like, Betty, you play so many games. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I go to the store every day. But anyway, so I haven't seen this on there. It says that I guess it's expected to launch on May 4th with the PlayStation Plus drop. So that'll be interesting. We've also got Battlefield 5, the notoriously controversial underselling edition of Battlefield. Isn't this that one?
Doesn't sell on. You mean just Battlefield 5 in general, or like the PS4
Yeah, Battlefield 5 in general on PS4's free game. Although that was the one that did poorly, the one that they did a whole weird marketing decision and
I don't remember. Ever since DICE started doing the Star Wars Battlefront games, Battlefield is just completely like it does not exist anymore.
Well, I apologize if it's not that one. I am not a Battlefield guy. I'm a Call of Duty guy. But if you are a Battlefield person or you want to check it out, finally it is coming to the PlayStation Store. PS4 Store for free on May 4th. And the last free game is a game called Stranded Deep. Now, I'm a fan of these survival games. It's like, I want to say survival horror, but it's not. It would be true survival horror. You're stuck on an island, Dylan, and you have to find a way to survive. And there's sharks in the water that want to eat you. I've played this. It is fun. I don't normally stick around with the sandbox survival games myself. That's one of these. There's no like hardcore plot. Like Forest has a plot. Subnautica has a plot. Even if it's like minuscule, you know what you're doing. Stranded Deep's whole thing is like the islands are procedurally generated. So have fun.
Right.
You know, so it is a fun game, though, if you like the idea of being stranded on an island and trying to find your way around and see what kind of resources you can discover. There's sunken ships and things like that. And I think there's like the loose elements of a story just that works in the procedurally generated stuff. But Not enough that hooked me, but it is a good game. I definitely recommend it.
Fair enough.
So that is our first thing. Might as well make a mention of it right now since we're sitting here. Also today, because I'm sure, well, today's Friday and I don't know when you're going to have this up, but Returnal dropped and the notorious Pokemon Snap. So
notorious.
Well, the Returnal is like I guess it's like a shooter, bullet hell is what they're called. A bullet hell shooter, Metroidvania style and roguelike, like all merged together, which just sounds like the greatest game ever to me.
Every genre
in one. You get a car at some point, and you can like beat up hookers in a corner.
Go play poker.
Go play poker
between generated dungeons.
If it's a popular style of game, they threw it in there. No, we're joking around. It's a bullet hell shooter merged with Metroid-like design and roguelike mechanics, combined with a story and aesthetic that merges H.R. Geiger-like influences with sci-fi elements like Sphere, Solaris, Prometheus, and more. I'm excited as heck about this game, but I'm right in the middle of Nier.
Yeah, like I've been playing Control based on our, earlier this week we talked about Control a little bit, and you graciously gave it to me and said play this by next week so we can talk about it. So I've been working through that, and Returnal pops up, and I'm like, okay, great, but also I'm playing Control right now, and they seem very similar in terms of atmosphere. So
yes, they are. We're in that same boat that I think that what used to be a problem like last year, where it's like every week 4 big games came out, and I'm like, I gotta pick one.
Yeah. That's the tough part too is like it's kind of I don't know if this is a good time or a bad time to release games, because it's like the end of the month, but also because of that it's the beginning of next month, so people will have money, I guess, but to release it's hard, right, to release a game on the same day as like something like Pokemon Snap,
which is the other title which you're excited about. Pokemon Snap has also released today, and it's everyone I know is excited for this, and I'm like, isn't that the game where you just go on with the camera and take a couple photos of Pokemon? And everyone's like, yes, it is.
Correct.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, what I was saying is it's just, it's tough to release games like at the same time right now, especially as now with the new generation, the $70 price tag is, at least in the US, like that's standard now.
Yeah.
So like if you want to get the newest games, like the hot new games today coming out with Returnal and Pokemon Snap, that's like $130. And that's a price that, at least for me, means like, and these games aren't like hard hitting and pressing enough to where it's a game like Hyrule Warriors, like both of them, where I'm just gonna probably play it in like 3 years. I'll forget about it unless I just decide that I want to play a game and want to drop $70 on a game that I'll probably play for a few hours.
Oh, it's like Control. You'll probably get to Returnal in like a year when it's on sale.
Yeah, but that's the thing, especially like Returnal, as like the way that they've described it, you throw roguelike in there and I do not want to spend $70 on it, because that means it's a game that, well, to me it means that it's a game that if I don't like the mechanics of the roguelike, yes, I can play it forever, but if I don't like the mechanics, then I'm going to play it for a few hours and then beat whatever story it has and then be done with it. But you pick a game like Risk of Rain 2, which is a fantastic roguelike. I have my issues with that game, but it's a very fun roguelike.
Yeah.
And that's like, you can get that for like $20. And that is like just no pomp and circumstance about it. It's just a roguelike. You just play it and it's great. Yeah. But that's the tough
I think
part
I could convert you to the roguelike atmosphere. And we can talk more. And after you beat Control, I will send you a copy of Hades.
Oh yeah, no, Hades is on my list because it's Bastion and Transistor, who Supergiant made Hades. Bastion and Transistor are 2 of their other games. Those are some of my favorite games ever. So Hades is like, it's up there. It's on my list. I just, again, like that's a game that's just, it came out and it fell by the wayside because either I didn't have money or time at when it came out, and that's kind of how I feel about Returnal and Pokemon Snap. Is it's like those are games I would love to play, but at their current prices, And right now, in this specific time, it's not like, oh my god, I need to play those. You know what I mean?
I feel like this is a whole discussion topic for our discussion show, which happens also right here at PSG, and you can join us whenever you want to see those. But about pricing of games and the fact that, 4 games. I still remember back in the day when I was in the military and obviously had a much tighter budget back then, I would still buy every game that came out, but it would also be like all right, Natalie, we're having a ramen week.
Right. Yeah, it's like, do I buy $130 worth of games and then eat ramen for 2 weeks, or do I eat like a normal person?
Yeah, and get one of those games. Back in the military, I had to buy 2 copies of everything so that Natalie would have it as well. So that's back in the 360 era. But all right, let's move on to our next topic here. With the news show, we're trying to keep it on point. You're still going to get our banter and our discussions, but with the PSG News podcast, we want to talk about the news. Everything that sounds interesting, I've already written down as a discussion topic on the side here.
Yeah, this is just a conversation is just a generative farm for discussion topics. So.
All right, so the next topic, I pulled up an article, Dylan, about Apex Legends. You play Apex Legends as well, don't you? And one of our friends, Dan, plays the heck out of Apex Legends, Twitch, streaming it whenever he's free. Apex Legends says that they would love to make PVE, which is contrary to previous statements from a lot of these Battle Royale companies that said they're not doing PVE. Now, I find this hilarious because we were just talking, I don't think I was with you, I was talking with a couple friends about this topic because 10 years ago to 5 years ago, every game was an esports title. It had to be a hero shooter or a League of Legends game, something along those lines. Everything had to be MOBA or whatever. And then about 5 years ago, Battle Royales took off and Overwatch came out. I know they all came out in this time frame, but all of those
your
became
timeline's
popular.
a little skewed, but
skewed. Before somebody goes in the comments like, Ben, I believe that was.
Yeah, the time doesn't matter. The fact is like there was a point where everything was turning towards PvP and like single player like PvE games were kind of a thing of the past, and then Battle Royale happened, and that kept kind of going, but also because
we had
direct response to that.
EA was like single player games make no money. We're not even touching that anymore. We're only doing
around that era.
That's the era that we are coming out of, and I found it hilarious because this year, Rainbow Six said we will never do a PvE piece of content to our game. They found a loophole. There's another game coming out that's going to be the PvE side of Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, of course. The Overwatch 2 approach.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with Overwatch 2, where they're like, we're not doing consistent lore. We're canceling the comic. We're not doing story. But we didn't say we wouldn't make another game that does all that. Am I wrong? Overwatch?
No, yeah, that's. I mean, all these games are kind of going that way. I think it was inevitable. Like the writing was kind of on the wall, especially for Overwatch. It makes sense because it's coming from Blizzard, who is like consistently a PvE developer.
Yeah.
And with Apex as well, the writing was on the wall because, and they mentioned this in the article that this story broke in, is like they're the developers behind Titanfall 2, which has one of the best single player FPS campaigns that I've ever played.
Yeah, seriously. So, I mean, and I play all the Call of Duty ones. And like when it comes to like just, run and gun shooter stuff, for me, it's always been Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, and then Titanfall 2. And I rotate which one I like more because I like giant robots. So like Titanfall 2 kind of takes the cake a lot of times. But
yeah, and I mean like they have toyed around with PvE stuff in Apex like during events, and I've played like a couple of those missions, and they weren't like super exciting. It was basically just run here, kill some rats, run here, do it again, and then jump in a helicopter or something. It wasn't great, but like it kind of felt like the first whack that Overwatch had at PvE with Junkenstein's Revenge, where it was like it's just kind of a hallway where you shoot things, but then as they went and like added on to that, you get to like the more recent Overwatch Archives events, and those are a lot of fun, those PvE missions, and now that's coming to fruition with Overwatch 2. So,
and Rainbow Six Siege is another one where they've started to consistently build upon a storyline that always, comes together for their big esports event. Like the story for Siege is that Six Squad has been brought together with the best people in the entire world for all of their respective militaries and police forces. And they come together for almost like a rubber bullet paintball match once a year to show how good they can be. But they're ready to do the, oh my God, world-ending event kind of thing. That's the point of assembling Six Squad. And so the game coming out, which I think has officially been renamed to something else, I think Contagion, but it's 6. It was called 6 Quarantine. It was about a virus outbreaking in the world. Oops. And 6 squads are brought in to stop the virus.
Oh no.
But they've got a co-op game coming out. Like, they're doing another game for that, and so is Overwatch with Overwatch 2. And I think I even said to you when we were talking about it, like, I see other games following Overwatch's suit. We're officially going back to the PVE world where they're like, right, people do want to play with their friends. They don't always want to get on and fight sweats. You know, it's like, I love Siege. I love Overwatch. I love Apex. I play all those games. I play Fortnite on almost a practically daily basis. But you know what I do in Fortnite? And you've seen the videos. I don't get on. I'm like, all right, we're going for that Royale. No, a lot of times it's like, all right, we're going to go here. We're going to go fight the wolves. We're going to go train this thing. We're going to goof around over here. Oh, we're in the top 10. Let's go for the win. Like that.
Right. It's a very Fortnite is also just kind of a weird case specifically with that, because they've decided that their PvE is just going to be inside of the PvP mode, which is kind of an odd approach.
Well, no, actually, it takes one of my other favorite games that I don't get to play enough of, a game called Escape from Tarkov, which does that same idea. The PvE is there. You're doing the PvE against AI. You're doing goals and quests. You're trying to build up factories and stuff like that. But you are also in there with every other player doing the same thing. So that's the PvP portion of it.
Right.
And what I feel like is happening in the gaming industry, games like Overwatch, like, we have our place, we have our fan base. Siege is like, we have our place, we have our fan base. But if you go to Twitch, which companies are using as a quantifiable measurement now, normally these games don't spike. They don't bring in tons of new viewers. They don't bring in tons of new people. They do a championship. You'll see it at the top of the charts. Then they all level out right where they always fall back to. Like, it's not like constantly tweaking and improving upon these games is bringing in new viewers. It keeps the people there. So I think companies are looking at, like, well, how could we bring in that audience? Those PvE guys who don't want to fight sweats, who just want to hop on and play with their friends. Where do they go? Where do they fit in?
Right.
You know, old hats like me who are back from the old days.
Right. I also want to amend my Fortnite statement. Both of us are aware of the original Fortnite that was only PvE. But nobody plays that anymore. So
they're giving it away now, and I kind of want to play it again.
Yeah. I remember you guys did like a stream on that before Battle Royale came out.
I loved that original one, and then I jumped on Battle Royale when it came out, and I'm like, oh, whatever, I don't like this.
And then it's the biggest thing in the world.
I know. Yeah, they came out with a new skin that if you buy for PvP, that gives you the PvE game now. So,
oh, nice.
So, I just find this interesting that, like, Overwatch is like, okay, look, we also want to make PvE, we just don't have the team for it, the team size for it. So it's interesting because I get a feeling over the next 2 to 3 years, we're just going to start to see all these PvE co-op games. We got Quarantine, whatever it's been renamed to. We've got Overwatch 2. We've got Back for Blood. Outriders just dropped. Destiny has announced like a 5-year plan. They ain't going nowhere. So that's another co-op shooter. And as a Destiny player, I'll tell you right now, they haven't touched PvP in like 3 years. So they're touching PvP is nerfing a gun in PvE. It's terrible. It's
Outriders is an interesting one to me because that's like, it's confused. Like the industry has gotten to a point where like looter shooters coming out that aren't live service like feel weird. Like unless you're Borderlands, it's like,
even
what
Borderlands
are you doing?
felt weird. I got to the end of Borderlands 3, beat the entire game, and my first reaction was, this feels like something from 5 years ago because everything is a live service now.
Right.
Like,
strange.
I'm done with Borderlands. What now? And everyone's like, well, the DLCs are coming out. Like, yeah, but that's not the same. DLCs are coming out, and that's cool.
Sure.
And I like this old model where I can say I'm done with Borderlands. I'll be back in a DLC. But it feels weird to not go, okay, in 2 weeks, the Borderlands Guardian games are kicking off. And you know what I mean? Like,
also to be clear, like I'm not complaining that games feel that way now or games are coming out. It's just weird. Like it's strange in so much that it's strange, not that it's bad. Like I'm glad games are coming out that are just one and done. Like, you know, I love when God of War PS4 came out and they were like, we're not doing DLC. I was like, great, cool. I'm done with that game. I'll be back to replay it or when the sequel comes out.
I'm in the exact same boat. Me and my buddies got on the other night. We were going to hop on for the new Sea of Thieves season. And I had like a brain fart. I'm like, I don't want to play a game that'll never end. Can we go find something that will end? We ended up playing Risk. Like, we're like, let's just do Risk, because it will end when we're done. Only to discover Risk Global Domination has seasons, but we ignored it.
Of course.
All right, so are you excited for the PVE games that are coming out? Are you excited for this?
Yeah, I'm you know, we're in an interesting point now where like these live service games have been out for a few years where they can sort of like, if they've grown enough, they can expand their development team and bring in people to start like doing new and interesting things. And I think that's what we're seeing now with all of these games that have stuck around, is them starting to expand. Like, they look at Fortnite and they're like, okay, how does Fortnite do it? Oh, they have like 1 million people working on the game. Let's do that. Yeah. Just like get content out. And I think that's cool. I think that's interesting.
I'm always surprised companies like EA don't just like, okay, Apex, here's triple your team size. Do
Right?
everything Fortnite's doing. Like,
And I think that's the way that it's going now. If we want a smooth transition into Jeff Clapton leaving Overwatch.
Yes, because I want to ask you one real quick about that, though. Someone told me Overwatch 1 is staying?
Yeah,
Like,
I'll
it's
explain
staying?
that in a second.
Okay,
it is.
Explain all that. Explain that to me.
So the main thing that Aaron Keller has said, who's the new director of Overwatch after Jeff left, he's basically like talking about how new systems are coming to Overwatch, and they are expanding their development team to match release cycles like Fortnite. So like in the article where he was released, or where he was announced or whatever, they asked him, they were like, hey, how do you compete with something like Fortnite that releases like a ton of stuff every week? And they're like, well, we're hiring. We're like expanding our team, and we're, you know, doubling down. And
I want to clarify that it is a weekly thing with Fortnite. Map changes, new guns, every week is like, there's not a quiet week at Fortnite. They're like, by the way, all the old store stuff's back. Like, it's like, holy crap. Like,
yeah. But okay, yes. To explain real quick the Overwatch 1 staying thing. Basically, for those that don't know, when Overwatch 2 comes out, Overwatch 1 isn't going anywhere. It is essentially going to be updated to the engine of Overwatch 2 for free, and all of the PvP changes are going to retroactively come to Overwatch 1. Ooh. And all the new maps, all the new everything. The only thing that you won't get for the PvP in Overwatch 2 is the new redesigns and the new skins and the new cosmetics and stuff. If you want to play the Overwatch 2 PvE, that's when you have to buy Overwatch 2. Otherwise, you could just keep playing Overwatch 1 and you'll get all that stuff for free.
Yeah, but what if you're one of those guys who's like, man, I liked Overwatch year 1. I mean, as a diva player, the amount of changes she's done.
Then I have nothing for you. You want to go back to when Diva didn't have rockets?
No, I liked her having basic guns and a giant shield that did nothing. I like that.
Nope. I'm good. I'll pass. You can have that. Yeah, that's what the Overwatch 1 isn't going anywhere, which I think is cool.
Overwatch 1 is just going to basically focus on the PvP, and Overwatch 2 is going to focus on the PvE, which is following in line with what we said.
Right. And it's like that's why some of the confusion has with Overwatch 2 has kind of come from that, where it's like, why are you making Overwatch 2 when it basically is just a glorified expansion? And they're like, well, it's not. It's a whole new game. And I get it. But it's a marketing tool. It is just an expansion. Like, especially
a sequel will sell better than a new game. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, you put 2 on there, and people are like, "What?" and they'll buy it. But
like, they're always talking about how big every World of Warcraft expansion was. Can you imagine how many people would come back after like World of Warcraft 2? We're starting over.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars: The Old Republic just released some new update. I don't think it was an expansion, but it was like a named update. And I'm like, I don't care. But if they like came out and were like Star Wars: The Old Republic, or like the Older Republic as a new game, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in. I'm back.
You'd also be super confused.
I'd be like,
what do you mean by the Older Republic?
Are you going back to like the like ancient times where they didn't even have lightsabers?
Cavemen are like Kyber crystal. All right, so Jeff Kaplan left Overwatch. We won't go much into that because that was actually 2 months ago, or 2 months, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, God.
We're getting
Please
on the regular, guys. Every week we'll be discussing news. So the last big one, which kind of ties together, Activision Blizzard boss Bobby Kotick is taking a 50% pay cut this year. He's going for $1.7 million to $850,000 annually earned. Combined with that,
I'll take his half of that.
Toys for Bob just had to lay off 50% of its staff and got absorbed into the Call of Duty team. Like, what the fuck?
What's going on over in Activision?
Toys for Bob, for those who don't know, is the team that made Spyro Reignited, Crash the Insane Trilogy, Crash 4, and a few other things. Skylanders. I'm a fan of Toys for Bob's. They've done a great job. I always feel like at Activision, like it's consistently, you did a great job. Game's great. Lay off half your staff. We're going to work on Call of Duty now.
Right. Yeah, like putting all of them on Warzone is just such like that feels like a mismanagement thing. Like people have been loving the Spyro and the Crash games, and it really just seems like either they really, really just want to put everything they have into Warzone and don't care about what Toys for Bob wants to do, or they haven't like given Toys for Bob anything to do and they don't want to do anything. I don't know whose decision it was. This sounds like a corporate decision.
It has to be. Well, actually, it might tie into our previous discussion. Well, all these topics unintentionally linked together. What if they're like, we want Warzone to have weekly and every other week content. We want to compete with Fortnite, so we're just going to absorb every team we already have.
That would make sense. That would suck just because, like, you know, it kills like the variance in that developer, especially like it would make sense if maybe it was a different developer who was already working on shooters and they had like a competing shooter within the same company. Like, sure, you can absorb that, put it onto the better, you know, the more successful game. That's just business. But Toys for Bob? What?
The company that focuses on games for their kid Bob. Like,
right. Like, are they going to put Spyro into Call of Duty Warzone now with a gun?
Can you imagine the Spyro skin? It'll be like a character just wearing the hood, like a Spyro hoodie into
the severed head of Spyro.
And I'm gonna have the severed head of Crash, man. So we're just gonna go head to head.
Oh no! They put the Crash mascot suit in there.
It's the battle royale you always wanted: Crash versus Spyro.
That'd be great. I'm okay with this decision now.
It's so weird. Like, look, I mean, I run a company. The boss will take more money than his employees. But Bobby Kotick is like, look, I didn't take a million. I didn't take a million.
Yeah, cry me a river.
Like, Dylan, you're over here like, I need the money for my 3080. What would you do if in response I was like, oh man, I'm so hurt and I didn't break $1 million this year.
No, anything but that. Yeah, I'm like struggling to decide whether or not I can spend $130 on new video games, and this guy's like, I don't need $500,000 this year. Like, what?
The worst part about him doing this is he's already made like $2 million a year.
Yeah, he's like set. He could take no money this year and he'd probably be fine.
That's what I mean. Like, I always find these pay cuts and then laying off whole staffs or half a staff
that's
hilarious.
The tough part.
Because it's not like Bobby Kotick just came to work at Blizzard Activision and he's taking a pay cut. You know what I mean? It's like Bobby Kotick's been there for like 20 something years. He's made like $2 million a year for just retire. Go away. Let someone else come in, and at least then we'll be like, okay, well, he needs his $2 million first, Dylan. I
mean, like if you were taking a pay cut, and it was because like the company isn't doing well, like their stock is down or something or whatever. Sure, but they're taking, like you said, he's taking a pay cut and they're laying people off. It's like what? was his like $800,000 or whatever not enough to cover the employees' salaries that they laid off?
Apparently not. No, because the investors. I mean, it reminds me back in the day. Remember when Nintendo had one bad year, and the CEO was like, "I'm taking like my base pay." Now, I will say, from owning a company, there is actual laws. You have to take a reasonable amount. So, but I'm pretty sure just under 1 million is a little bit more than a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
I've had that talk with my CPA because I've tried, like, we've had some rough months in our company, and I've had, but hey, I'm just not going to take money. He's like, okay, but you're going to have to take more later, or the IRS is going to come, because you have to be, as a CEO at a certain point, or the IRS will start questioning things. And I'm like, okay, but but I'm pretty sure
makes sense.
850 million.
That's probably above that lowest level for sure.
I don't know what else to say to this, because it's hilarious, because I'm sad for Toys for Bob, because it's not even like they're making the next Call of Duty. They're the Call of Duty Warzone support team.
I mean, even if they were announced to be making the next Call of Duty, I would be equally annoyed, just because it's like the trend that they've been doing in Hollywood recently, where they take like an indie movie person who's made like an indie movie, like they take Gareth Edwards, who's made just like a small horror movie, and then they give him Jurassic World because he can, listen to you, and he's small enough to where he doesn't have the power to say no to a big company.
Oh,
it's like, all right, you just want to push people around. That sucks. Like, they're obviously, he's not going to be able to have like a creative vision that he had in the indie movie that put him on your radar if you're just going to tell him what to do and then force him to do it.
Who was the guy in the MCU who's doing the Ant-Man movie? I can't remember think of his name. And then he left.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah, Edgar Wright. He does a lot of the smaller stuff, and they're just trying to push him around.
Edgar Wright he doesn't do small. His movies make a lot of money. But
Edgar Wright, in Ant-Man days, I'm talking like he was just starting to really hit that stride, and they're like, do Ant-Man.
Not true.
No?
Back in Ant-Man days, his three most famous movies, not including Scott Pilgrim, were already out.
I'm looking. You're making me look this up. Shaun of the Dead.
Edgar Wright is my favorite director.
Yeah, he did Shaun of the Dead, The Hot Fuzz. They did the Corletto trilogy.
Yes, which were very big movies.
Well, but in terms of, they're still technically indie. Pilgrim. I mean, it's a Simon Pegg movie before Simon Pegg was somebody.
I don't think that's
Fistful of Dollars was huge, though. I will say that. I thought that was pretty big.
Either way, Edgar Wright was like a fringe case where I think I see what you mean. Like, they picked Edgar Wright out because they were like, yes, this is someone who will listen to us, who everybody knows is like a good director. But then he was like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. Let me make my movie. And Disney was like, absolutely not.
And for the record, no, while he's a name, his movies did not do that well. They're cult classics is the thing. Shaun of the Dead was made under a $6 million budget, made $30 million.
Did Scott Pilgrim not do super well? I thought it did.
No, Scott Pilgrim notoriously tanked in box office, and looking at these numbers, budget was $85 million, and they only made 48 back. They're only cult classics. Edgar Wright is a cult classic guy. Like,
yeah, I'm to be fair, I'm very biased because, like I said, Edgar Wright is my favorite director. So.
You're not. I mean, no, this is off topic, but hey, welcome to the PSG podcast. You're not wrong. I love the Cornetto trilogy. I love Scott Pilgrim. I love Baby Driver. I haven't seen these other ones, but I'm like. So I'm not saying he's a bad director in any way, shape, or form. I'm just
no. Yeah, I mean, movies making money and movies being good are two entirely separate things. But that's, to me, I was just like, I haven't looked up the numbers, but I just assumed that they did well because they're such good movies. Which is like, you can't.
That's a whole topic for like our other channel. Why are cult classics always tanking in the box office and then become a classic?
Yeah. It's the marketing budget, I would say. But again, that's a different discussion.
Yeah, that's we have a whole other channel for that. It's called Absolutely Marvel and DC.
Check it
out. Okay, so that is the bulk of our topics right there. I mean, I'm sad for Toys for Bob. I was hoping we were going to get a Crash 5. Yeah. Crash 4 is incredible. If you haven't played it, definitely go check that one out. I don't know. Every day I want to stop questioning Activision and just be like, just don't tell me what you're doing. I don't. And every day I'm just like, why?
There's this strange. I would love to, like, in 10 years, watch like a documentary about all of the ups and downs that Activision has gone through, because it's been very strange. Like,
it's all for investors. Them. It's all, look, if I was in charge of Activision, I would be like, here is a 400 person team. I want a Call of Duty every year, and I want a Battle Royale. go.
Right.
And that's the end of the story. Like,
yeah, they don't care about, like, Activision definitely seems like one of those companies that is managed by money, not by creativity.
Oh, I mean, it's proven by this. Because what they do is they lay off portions of the Call of Duty team if they have a bad month. And then when they have a good month, they absorb other teams into the Call of Duty team. They don't just leave a team on there through thick and thin. Which I think, because you never hear about Fortnite layoffs. Why do you think Fortnite is so good and consistent? Because I'm pretty sure they just keep the team on it. Like,
I think they also make a lot of money, like more than any game.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, everybody wants to be Fortnite, but nobody wants to do what Fortnite is doing, right? The worst I hear about the Fortnite development is their crunch is insane. That's a whole discussion in itself, that how crunch environment and stuff is bad. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the worst I ever hear about their team. You never hear about layoffs. You never hear that people got just cut out unceremoniously. You never hear about any of that stuff. And everyone wants to be Fortnite. Like,
yeah. And I think that's like talking about keeping like dev teams there through thick and thin. I think that's a strong suit of Blizzard. Like talking about Activision, like on the Blizzard side of Activision Blizzard, that's something they do. They keep quiet about stuff, and they just let their developers go. And quality happens because of that. So it's
a little different now, but I do remember what you're talking about back in the StarCraft Ghost days, where they're like, we're still making Ghost 8 years in and it never came out.
Well, still now, like Overwatch 2, the joke is that it's never coming out, but I'm sure when it comes out, it's going to be a really solid product, and it's not going to feel rushed, because like Overwatch took forever to come out. Most things that Blizzard makes take a while to come out, and they don't say much about it. They're just, it'll come out when it's ready.
Yep.
And that's frustrating for investors, I'm sure. And that's frustrating for fans as well, especially in cases like Overwatch 2, where it's like, we already have something and you've told us about Overwatch 2, so we want more news. But at the end of the day, like, that produces like a good product. Like when developers put trust in their audience and in their investors, and that trust is reciprocated, it creates a really good relationship that just allows things to happen. Like, I'm not chomping at the bit for God of War 2 to come out. Like, I'm not like, where is it? Because I know they're taking their time, and I know it's going to be great. Well, yeah, I want to play it. I want it to come out. But I'm not like, how dare you take your time with God of War 2? Like, I want them to take their time, because the first one was so good. I do not want that to be rushed.
I agree with you, but it's going to be interesting because Overwatch 2 will be the first game since this new era of Blizzard has started. So it's going to be interesting to see if that polish upholds, or have they gone the way of Activision and everyone else? It's got to come out and servers won't work and skins won't work and you're going to lose inventory. And you know what I mean? Like, is it going to be like every other game where they're like, we'll fix it down the road?
I think if I had to put my like seer hat on, I would say Overwatch 2 at launch is going to be really good. And then over time, it's going to prove not to be a great live service experience, just like Overwatch 1. I think
I will go against you on that, and you guys can clip this one and bring it back to us when Overwatch 2 launches. I think it's going to be the best of the live services because they've got everyone else to look at. They can compare it to what Destiny has done. They can compare it to what Apex has done and Fortnite has done. They have a template they can fall into now. When they did Overwatch 1, live services... Well, when they did Overwatch 1, live services were still kind of like, what is this?
Yeah, it was up in the air. There wasn't like a de facto, this is how you do it. You got battle passes, you got cosmetics that you can buy. Like there wasn't like a handbook on how to make a live service game. Now there is.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why I'm interested to see how it goes, because I think on one hand, like Blizzard kind of doesn't really like doing live service models. It seems, because they could have adapted with Overwatch years ago and they never did.
I'm actually really surprised that Battle Pass never showed up in there.
Right. And I think they're going to have to for Overwatch 2. But it'll be interesting to see how they implement it in a way that feels like Blizzard quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been the first ever PSG News Podcast. It'll be coming out every Friday or Saturday. We'll probably start streaming it on Fridays, but the time we're going to record, it's going to be a little all over the place. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this show, if you want us to do more. And don't worry, Huey and Shake will be joining us when they're available. This is the point of the news podcast, is you just film it with whoever is available, because everyone's schedules are weird. Thank you so much. My name's Benny. That is Dylan. And we will see you next week with our discussions. We wrote down a whole bunch of those. So if you liked any of those discussions, like, hey guys, talk more about this. Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you soon.